Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. This is my review of this beautiful Epiphone inspired by Gibson SG Special. As you can see, it has two P90 pickups. I believe this line came out in late 2019 or early 2020. The whole concept being Epiphones that were a little more closely related to their more expensive Gibson relatives than in years past. Of course, there's the Epiphone headstock change that's closer to the open book Gibson headstock. CTS pots, GraphTech Nubone nut. A lot of nice features on this guitar. It retails for $399. Last summer, after having gotten rid of a few guitars in the preceding couple of years, had a little bit of extra money to spend on a guitar and decided I wanted something that I never had before, and I've never had prior to this a guitar with P90 pickups. Even though I've been playing for over 20 years and I've owned a lot of guitars in those years, they've mainly been Fender style and Gibson style guitars with regular single coils and humbuckers. So this was definitely on the list, as you guitar players can relate to. There were many that I would love to have and still would that I've never been able to have the opportunity to own, so I had a hard time choosing. I asked a dear friend who does not play guitar out of a lineup of some of the ones I liked, and she said this one based on looks alone, and that's hard to argue with. Well, I was looking for it, and because of the pandemic and the supply shortages and the tremendous run on guitars, especially guitars in that price range at that time, by people with stimulus checks sitting at home with nothing to do, wanting to learn to play, it was just hard to find. So instead, I ended up getting this guitar, which I played at Showtime Music near Beckley, West Virginia, and absolutely loved it, fell in love with it instantly. It's a Gretsch Streamliner Club Jet, just an amazing guitar. This one only retails for $299. And I want to do a review on it because it's just an amazing guitar. And it was a very similar color blue. I believe Gretsch calls this gunmetal in their catalog. But I absolutely loved that one, but I still wanted this one. And eventually, a few months later, I was able to find it at Showtime Music, played it, loved it, and I've been enjoying it ever since. I was kind of late in recording my album when I got this one, but it's on in a few parts. It's on the last verse and chorus, playing lead fills on Look the Other Way. It's on the last verse and chorus of Twilight's Last Gleaming, and probably be featured more in the future. But as someone who traditionally favors Fender style guitars like Stratocasters or Telecasters, I've never really fully bonded with a Gibson or Epiphone before. I had a Gibson Les Paul Studio that I sold a couple years ago, a nice Epiphone Les Paul right after I graduated from high school that I sold. I don't know if it's a scale length or what, or the sound. I just generally tend to prefer Fender guitars, but I love this one. I don't intend on getting rid of it anytime soon, and it's just tremendous. So a little bit ago, I restrung this one, polished the frets, conditioned the fretboard, and in the process of doing that, I took a little look at some of the aspects of it with the strings off, and I opened up the back cavity to take a look at those, make sure those CTS pots were legit and everything. So I'm going to share that with you now. Then I will play some sound samples, various pickup combinations through various amps and pedals. I'll give you an idea of what the guitar sounds like. For example, what I just played and right now is being recorded with the internal mic of my iPhone. I'm going to put a Shure on a couple of amps here and to record some clips for you, and then I come back and give you my final thoughts. So let's take a look at some of the hardware now. Okay, take a look at a few things while I have the strings off here. These are the Epiphone P90 Pro pickups. They sound really nice. This is my first P90 equipped guitar, so I don't have a great frame of reference for my own playing, but I like them. I thought about swapping them for Lindy Fralins just because I've heard such good things about them, but for right now I'm leaving them. There's the post, and here is the tailpiece. It's, you know, decent weight, Epiphone branded, as you can see. It works just fine. I have no complaints. You could probably get a nicer aftermarket piece if you want to spend a little bit of money, but I'm not going to. I have no complaints about it so far. The knobs feel great. Nice vintage look to them. I mean, they're just wonderful. The switch, nothing to write home about, just an average switch. Again, I've had no problems with it. It doesn't have the most substantial feel I've ever felt, but I have no problems with it. I'll move into the neck. 22 medium jumbo frets, 12-inch radius, Indian Laurel fretboard, GraphTech Nubone nut, so that's a really nice upgrade type piece that comes standard on the guitar. The fretwork is good. Little bit, tiny bit rough around the edges, but nothing, you know, that I have any great complaints about. The binding looks good. They're well polished. You know, the fret height and leveling's good. The headstock is the, I think they call it the new Kalamazoo one. Looks really nice. I've never been one that's gotten too uptight about the old Epiphone headstocks, the Gibson headstocks, but it just looks good. We have these really nice looking tuning keys here. Take a look at the back here. Flip it over. And again, in terms of performance, they work fine. They look really nice, though. I'm, you know, not going to be replacing them anytime soon. And I weighed the guitar with no strings on it. It weighs 6.2 pounds, which is light. SGs are generally known to be light, but that's a really good weight. You can see made in China. I've left the sticker on. And of course, strap button near the heel. Nice heel joint. One of the good things about the SG, flip it back over here, good access, good contours. It's just, you know, a nice guitar. There's, of course, the other strap button. And let's take a look inside the control panel. Okay, we've opened up the cavity here. And as you can see, these are, in fact, CTS pots. That's one of the selling points of this guitar and some of the other inspired by Gibson guitars, I believe, is they have CTS pots like Gibson's. Got nice wiring in terms of solder joints. You have these quick connects. It's all looks pretty clean, nothing too remarkable in there. The cavity's painted, input jack, you know, looks good. All the solder joints look good. I've never had this open before, so they are in fact CTS pots, in case anyone was wondering. Gave you a pretty good idea about what this guitar is like sonically. I think my personal favorite was the Boss Katana lead channel, because these pickups, as P90s do, have a lot of mid-range, and that really suited them well. I think it sounded good in all those settings, from the brown sound with the Phase 90. It really delivered those heavier tones well, sounded great clean. Still think I prefer the sound of a traditional Fender single coil, like a Stratocaster or Telecaster pickup, and that little extra sparkle clean, but this still sounded really good, and there's certainly a lot of good applications for it. Also, the guitar plays great. The 12-inch radius, felt nice bending it. The frets are well done. Not perfect, but really good, and certainly at $400, you'll see no complaints. Of course, you get into the type of buyer that might be in the market for this guitar. It might be someone like me who's just wanting a nice, affordable P90 equipped guitar. And you might have someone who's a big Gibson fan who might be debating, if they can afford it, whether it's worth it to step up to the Gibson, which is, I'm not sure the exact price as I sit here today, but it's roughly $1,000 more. For me personally, who wanted a fun guitar that looks great for an affordable price, I would pick this over a Gibson any day. Not saying the Gibson's not better in the end, but I think it's the law of diminishing returns. And let me say, I've never played the Gibson version of this guitar, but I have had a couple of Gibson Les Pauls in the past, and I like them both very much, but there comes a certain point when I don't think the extra cost is justified. Again, if you have plenty of money, go for it, get the Gibson version. But I think anybody else will be very happy with this and saving the extra $1,000. The Gibson version, of course, gets you a nitro finish, I believe. This is a poly finish, and everyone has their own personal thoughts and preferences when it comes to that. The Gibson will have true Gibson pickups instead of these, but these sound really good. Probably better tuning keys. I believe it's a real rosewood fretboard on the Gibson. Of course, they're both mahogany. I believe they both have the slim taper 60s neck. So, but putting aside the Gibson, this is the Gibson versions out there rather. This is simply a great guitar. I preferred this over the Les Paul Special simply because I really liked the look of this one, and of course the recommendation from my friend on the color. And the 60s neck appealed to me more than the chunkier 50s neck on the Les Paul Special. It looks great in the TV yellow and everything. If you want a thicker neck, I've never played that guitar, but keeping in mind the things that they have in common, that one might be the one for you. So I intend to keep this guitar, might modify it in the future, but I don't have any immediate plans to do that, because it really is just great the way it is. There's a few imperfections in the binding and little things like that, but as I saw on another reviewer's channel, it's like someone, instead of using the appropriate means of adjusting this, just stuck a flathead screwdriver in there and turned it, and it chewed it a little bit, and I'm not thrilled about that. But again, it's not close to something that would make me not buy this guitar, return it, or something of that nature. I just think that if you want a Gibson style guitar with P90s for the price, it is an amazing deal. And really, I can't think of anything other than the Les Paul that would compete with it at that price point of $400. So I hope this has been helpful. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.